Hey, what's good, guys? My name's Chris.
And I'm Jody.
Welcome back to the official WearTesters Unlaced podcast. This is episode 12. It feels good to wear hoodies finally.
Oh, I know.
I'm not sweating, so that's a good thing.
It's quite chilly out.
Yes, and I love it. So so I've been enjoying the weather finally, because it comes late in Sacramento, like cold weather, like it just keeps getting later and later. But the WearTesters Unlaced podcast is brought to you guys by the good folks over at Move. If you're interested in getting a new insole, but you don't want to spend a ton of money on custom orthotics, make sure that you stay tuned because we've got something cool for you. Also, if you were interested, make sure that you click the link in the description. Not only is there a direct link, but there also should be a promo code so you can save a little bit of cash on your Move insoles if you're interested. So there you go. But with that being said, we're just going to jump right into sneaker news. I think we'll just talk about the most glaring one first. I do have a few things, but we'll talk about this one first. This coincidentally dropped. I don't know if the news dropped on the day that the video dropped, but the news went viral the day that our video dropped. Not that our video went viral, that didn't happen, but let me just read it word for word because I don't want to like paraphrase something like this. These are pretty serious allegations. So this is per Sneaker News. So this is not my words or verbiage. Okay. So if anybody wants to be mad at me, take it up with Sneaker News. But it says right here on their little thing, James Whitner reportedly violated sneaker contracts for unauthorized sales worth of $32 million. And it also says that the Whitaker Group's James Whitner, I'm not sure how to say that, but has been named in a court case detailing a multi-million-dollar international money laundering operation. So I think it's Ma Maniére, social status might be part of it. I don't know if they're all the same group.
Oh.
Or like the same owners and stuff. So I don't know if there's other retail boutiques associated and stuff. I'm not really familiar with the person or the group itself. They're more hype driven, I should say. At least that's the way it feels. I do know that they do a lot of storytelling and community stuff, but maybe that was all just a facade to make them seem like holier than thou. When
elitist?
Kind of, yeah, while they're out there doing some like allegedly crazy shit. Honestly, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't affect me at all. I don't ever like buy from them anyways. Like, I think I bought one thing, like it was those penny twos, and that was from social status and all that stuff. Cause usually I don't even like enter their raffles or any of that stuff. Cause I always feel like I take an L whenever I do any of this stuff. Apparently there's for good reason, cause they're just like sitting here backdooring everything overseas. So, but this also isn't like the first time that this has happened. It's like, oh, retailer with hot releases, backdoor shoes. It's not a surprise, dude. You know what I mean? So I think that the way that it seems, based off of the allegations and stuff, is just the guy got kind of greedy, or the group, or so, I don't know. Like I said, it says that he was named, but like I don't know if he's the sole person. I personally think that while it's news, it's like not.
I think it's a lot of people who've missed out, and so now they're kind of like, aha, like proof.
But we, like I said, we've already
like
been knowing.
Cold, hard proof.
We've been knowing.
So
Michael Jordan's own son has been alleged to backdoor stuff.
I know, but like you got to get them all. It's like Pokemon. Like we got to get all of the guys who are doing the bad stuff.
They're still doing it.
I know, but like
it didn't stop them.
But if you take. It didn't stop Michael Jordan's son, or what do you mean?
Supposedly, like he's still doing trophy room and has a contract with his dad's company, and they sell shoes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a clear violation of your terms and agreement. That's the second thing, is that like people are surprised, being like, Nike knows this? Yes, dude, Nike knows this stuff, man. Like they're not saying anything because they're smart. They got a ton of lawyers. They've like owned every lawyer in Portland. They would never say anything, but like to think that this company doesn't know is just lying to yourself, because they know everything. You know what I mean? Like
well, then that's the big deal, is that they know everything, and they're just kind of like, as long as we're not getting caught, and if we're just going to get a slap on the wrist, or if we can just throw this guy under.
Well, they'll go and donate money to some charity and fund, and then that'll be the next news topic. It's just a big American corporations, and then American consumerism is just led by vanity and greed, and it's guilty in all parties, from the top, the corporate level all the way down to the consumer level.
Well, that's the thing. So I know just from our comment section, there were a lot of people who were like, oh, I'm so glad I've never bought an Ma Maniére product. And then there's other people who are like, oh, I'm so glad I hit on these because they're probably not going to have any more. This is now like...
I don't know. Like for me, like when I see this stuff, it's unfortunate because this company, like I said, they know about all this stuff as far as Nike and their contracts and Jordan and their contracts and this group, and they know what's been going on, and they've shut down and killed businesses, small businesses, like small mom and pop shops that have been around for decades and stuff like that. The ones that really built up like that Jordan hype, you know what I'm saying? Like been selling to the neighborhoods and shit like that, and they've cut their contracts and killed their stores for less. And so that's the only part where I feel like that's kind of, it's like, so this group is beneficial to your business, therefore you let it slide. But that group who was beneficial to your business, to where now you see them as less than, and so you're just like, we don't need you anymore. And it doesn't matter the ethics, that people will still throw their, because vanity is above everything. You know what I mean? And so like, it just doesn't matter. So like, that's what I mean by like, I don't even give a fuck anymore. If I like it and I could get it, cool. If I can't, then whatever, man. Like it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so it's just weird. I think it's really weird when you say that kind of stuff though. Like, oh, I'm glad that I didn't. It's just like, we don't know. These are allegations. Granted, they're actual charges, like they're bringing it like with evidence, but like you still don't know what's going on. So like you can't consider him guilty. Nothing's been proven. You know what I'm saying? So like that's my whole like other thing is like there's this other side where what would you call it? Like that mob mentality? Is that what it is?
Herd.
Well, kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? Where like there's an allegation about something or someone like Jonathan Majors or this or that, and all of a sudden like everybody like comes out with pitchforks and stuff, and I'm like, whoa there, dude. I know that this country is in shambles at the moment, but like there's still law, and there's still, you're innocent until proven guilty. Like when did that stop? Some new images have leaked or been posted or whatever. I don't know what to call it anymore, but there's some new images on the Black Cement 4s that are coming out next year in 2024. They're part of that Reimagined series. So instead of being a synthetic nubuck / Durabuck upper, it's a full leather build. The shoe looks good. They do look a little boxy in the toe, I will say that. So I hope that that's just a bad pair. I don't know, but like otherwise it's kind of like, yeah, that's dope. You know, like another black cement. I'm here for it. Especially if the leather ends up being nice. Do you have any thoughts about them?
When was the last time they were released?
2019.
So it's time.
Well, so that's something that is always like controversial. Is like yes, it's time, but then when they do it, it's not to OG specs, right? So like because it's reimagined. That's what a lot of people had a problem with
the Royals.
The Royals and the one like the patent Breds and the Lost and Founds. Because you know they're all like they're reimagined, they're not original, and so like some people are like definitely like, man, like I don't have a real pair of Chicago's, like this is all I got. Like that was me. I wasn't like mad about it. I was just like, oh, I don't have a real pair of Chicago's. Like I have the split one where it's like half Bred and half Chicago, and then I have the lows, and so I didn't have a high top one because I don't have the 2015s, and so like I was just like, I hope I get a pair because I just want a pair of Chicago's, you know what I mean? So like I was not mad. I was just like, I just want them. To that point, I have Royals and I have Breds as far as like the regular OG highs, and I have these shoes too, but in regular form. And the 3s also. So like, and I had all of those also. So like, and it was just like, am I mad about it? Am I gonna buy them? Probably. I can understand why people would be upset, and I understand what you're saying too, which is it's about time, which would be true. If they were right. If the correct. So that's the thing. So like I don't know how everybody else feels about it. All I know is that it doesn't bother me that they switch things up, just because I think I still have a brand new pair of the 2019 ones in a box because I buy 2 of OG colorways. So like I still got a fresh pair anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm just excited just to see them back. Like I think that they look cool outside of the toe. The toe looks a little weird. Like I said, hopefully it's just that pair, but we'll see. And then we got a pair of Air Jordan 5s in...
Lucky green?
I don't know if they're called Lucky Green. Let me see if they have a... Oh, they are Lucky Green. Good job.
Thanks.
Man,
It's the only green I know for Jordan.
Yeah, that's the only green Jordan knows either. Or actually, they do that mint one too. Green Glow. These are kind of interesting because for one, it's a fire red color blocking. I love that. Why isn't the fire reds out though?
Because Lucky Green is taking the limelight here. Hey.
But why? This is my whole point with everything. It's like when you go with a retro release and then you riff off of OG colorways, which I think is dope. I love it. But if it's time,
it's not time
for the OG colorway. Nah, man. Like I'm saying, like
they're saying no, it's not.
But why?
I don't know. I don't work at Jordan Brand.
I know, but that's what I'm saying though, is like why would you not put out the fire red and put out this? And then on top of that, this is a women's release, which...
That tracks.
But like, it's like, why is that? That looks like a shoe that Ray Allen will wear, bro.
And anybody who's going to a Celtics game.
Right. So why is it a women's exclusive?
I don't know. They did that with the threes too.
I know, but why do you keep excluding while trying to claim inclusivity? It's a contradictory statement.
Sizing.
It better be extended sizing. I'd be mad for big footers if they can't get these. These are fire. Last but not least, we've got the powder blue or dark powder blue Air Jordan 9s. They don't look dark powder blue, that's for damn sure. They look bright as a mother. They look, first off, really good. Second off, they're supposed to be based off of the original dark powder blue colorway, a colorway that's really fucking awesome. It's one of my favorites of the OG 9 lineup. Actually, it might be my favorite. I always I can't tell if it's that one or if it's the one that he wore in Space Jam.
That's your favorite?
Yeah, that's my favorite Jordan 9. Because the Jordan 9 is kind of like the redheaded stepchild of the Jordan releases because he didn't wear them as a bull. You know, he wore them in Space Jam, so for me, they're always like that Space Jam shoe. Even though I know that there's the 11 too, but like he practiced in those and they went to his house to grab his sneaker and shorts. So like that to me is always like connected with that movie and everything. But I just remember this like ad where it's like him sitting on a ball in his North Carolina gear and he had these powder blue 9s, and I always loved the UNC drops. And so I was just like, yo, those are fire. And then when they retroed the shoe, I think it was in 2010.
What's up, everybody? This is Nightwing2303 coming at you with another sneaker review. This time it's the powder blue Jordan 9 Retro.
They were JP's pair, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't buy them because the materials were so bad. The good news, though, is that they look like the OG. Like, they fixed the Jumpman on that left shoe finally. Like, I've been saying that since they switched it. And so they finally did that. So now they're technically remastered. They got the blue kind of like cut lines in the leather, which is just like the originals. This colorway didn't have the big 23 on the back of the heel. And it doesn't on this one. It did on the last retro. So I think that that's really cool. The only thing that I could see that's maybe not the same as the original is just, I can't tell if it's just the image though, just the blue. It's like really bright because it's supposed to be dark powder blue. So it's like a kind of like a dull matte looking UNC color. Some people might not like the actual look versus like what's being shown. I like both, but that's the only thing where like if I'm gonna keep it in line with like, oh, it's an exact replica of the OG, it's like maybe that's not it. But I can't tell if it's like the lighting and the saturation because I can't tell anymore, man. Like what's white, what's gray, what's pink, what's red. You know what I mean? Like It's weird, especially when it comes to online images. So
I was gonna say everybody we have a really cool monitor for editing where it makes it
supposedly
true.
It's like the truest.
So all these people need to get it so that they can fix their stuff.
Well, even when I see it on that monitor, I'm like, is this right? 'Cause, you know what I mean?
Oh no, I'm saying obviously you have to be working on that to begin with.
Right.
Because it can't fix what somebody has doctored on their end.
Correct.
So
that's what I mean. Like if it's already been tinkered with.
Y'all, all of you guys who are taking these photos of these shoes, get your act together and get yourself a good color accurate monitor.
Well, it's funny too because like the only time that I can tell when the monitor's like doing its job is when I drag stuff to the other computer.
Oh yeah, because we work from it's like a dual thing. So yeah.
Yeah, they're like connected. So like, so sometimes I'll drag it to the other computer and I'll be like, what the, and then I'll move it back. Like it's when I'm doing the thumbnail images.
Yeah.
I'll like back and forth it and stuff, and you can really tell. I don't know if you care about 9s or if you even care. I know that you're not a UNC. You think that this should have been left in 99. So like, do you have any thoughts on these, or you just want to keep it moving?
Just keep it moving.
If you're in the market for a new insole or orthotic, then we'd recommend checking out the products from today's sponsor, Move. Move offers 3 different insole options. The Game Day is perfect for those with a normal or neutral arch that want a little extra support underfoot, along with a little extra cushioning. The Game Day Pro is for those that have a high arch and or those that prefer a more substantial torsion system within their footwear. This is the insole that we'd recommend if you're a taller athlete or a professional athlete. The Move All Day is a polyurethane-based insole that features a neutral arch plate, perfect for everyday wear. The polyurethane offers a bit of extra bounce with each step and can transform the comfort level of your daily retro sneakers up a few notches. If you are interested in checking out any of the insoles Move has to offer, then you can head over to www.move.one and check out all the items that are available.
All right, so today we are again doing things a little bit differently. If you were at our last episode, episode 11, we did a Q&A at the end where we took questions that people had left in the comment section. I'm doing a very similar thing today, although I also asked our Discord members if they had anything they wanted to throw at us, because sometimes our Discord members don't really chat it up in the YouTube comment section. So I wanted to give them their opportunity to ask us things. They ask us things all the time though that we normally go over in Discord, whether Chris is doing like a special live thing or just like day-to-day stuff. But this is fun too because they get to actually like hear our voices, see our faces, all that kind of good stuff. So we'll start off with something sneaker related. What was your first or favorite pair of sneakers you had as a kid that you can remember?
It was my first pair of Nikes.
For camp or no? Earlier than that?
Yeah, it was earlier. That was the one where like I had begged my mom, like, please, I'm getting like made fun of. Like I need a pair of Nikes. And yeah, and they're back there. They're the flights that are on the pegboard. Not that color. Mine were just straight up black with a white swoosh. And that was where she was just like, fine, if you can find something for 40 or less, then you got it. So like that was like the big like thing. So I just remember, I told this story before, but like I just remember, so like back in the day, there wasn't the internet. There was newspapers. So on Sundays, there would be the advertisement sections like included in your paper. And they would be all in color, like the comic strips would be in color, so it was a big deal. So like that's where you would find like what was a deal somewhere. And there was this retail store that I don't know if they're out of business or just not in business where we live anymore, but it was that place Oshman's, and they had bin sales. So like they literally had these weird cardboard looking barrels, and they were full of shoes like tied together. So yeah, so I remember going there because I remember seeing the ad saying like Nike's starting at $40, and I was like, oh shit, like this is my chance. And so like my mom took me, I dug through the bin and I found a pair that was my size, and that was a wrap. Like it was really that simple. So I didn't know nothing about the shoes at the time or anything like that. I still really don't know much about them now. I just remember like the shoe, and I wore them till like the soles were like had holes in them and all that stuff. Like I just wore the out of those things, and I think that was like in 7th grade.
I was gonna say, did you say how old you were? Because mine's 7th grade too.
Yeah, so like mine was 7th grade, so like that was my thing. So and yeah, that's like the first. Like I do remember getting some Airwalks, but like that was before.
From Payless?
And they were from Payless.
Yeah, because I used to get those too.
But Airwalks were cool.
They were cool.
So I didn't know that they were not cool.
Yeah.
So like I thought they were cool.
Yeah,
the
no, I remember thinking
ones,
they
right?
were cool. Yes.
Yeah, with the A on the side.
Yes, mine
Yeah.
were like a blue and brown.
Mine were brown and black.
So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but I thought they were cool, but apparently they weren't. So so yeah, that was my first like main like sneaker memory was that. If we wanted, like, big thing was my first pair of Jordans, but that was later on.
Okay. Yeah, mine was in the 6th grade. My parents had just gotten divorced during the summer, and my aunt was always in charge of taking us shoe shopping. And normally it was at Payless, hence the Airwalks. And she said this time, I don't know if she'd gotten a better job or what, but she's like, I'm taking you kids to the mall. And I remember bragging because I don't know, I was trying to impress these kids that I was like newly with, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get new shoes tonight. I'm gonna go get the ones with those checks on the side, because I didn't know. I also
Are you talking about the shell toes?
No, Nikes.
What checks on the side?
Checks, like.
Oh, you're talking about the swoosh?
Yes, to me they were checks.
What shoe were you thinking though?
I just was gonna get a pair of Nikes.
Oh, so you just thought that you were getting Nikes? You got your first baby Nikes over there.
But I mean, I only have one because the other one got lost in a parking lot, and I was like less than 1 year old.
You know how old I was when I got my first pair of Nikes? I wasn't one.
I'm just saying.
I wasn't born into it.
So anyways, I said I talked a big game, only for my aunt to take us to the mall, but then she took us to Stride Rite. And Stride Rite did not.
There's no Nikes there.
No. I came to school the next day in a pair of black Mary Janes. They were not, there was not a single check on the side of that thing at all.
That sucks.
So it was the next year, me and my sister must have been like.
That sounds like trauma. That doesn't sound like a good moment.
Oh, I love my aunt though. So the next year, my sister and I must have like somehow talked her into, can we go check out more of the mall? And I really wanted a pair of K-Swiss. And so we went into a Foot Locker or something, and I walked up to the wall, and that was when I found out that, at least with K-Swiss and Adidas, when I got my shell toes, which was 8th grade, but that they would take a model and then change the tooling to, this is our tennis version. This is our, and I was just like, no, I want like, what is the ones that everybody is wearing at school? I can't do this again. And freaking out because I wanted to make sure that they were all white, and they had the right bottoms, and that they were actually in my size. So it was a hectic time.
I remember stuff like that because that was me when somebody that I knew in class had a pair of Jordan 4s, and I didn't know that they had re-released, and and I was just like, oh, like that favorite Jordan, and I was like, where'd you get those? And he was like, oh, they're just at the mall. And I was like, what? So like I convinced my mom to take me to the mall to go get a pair, and because I think the retro was like 120 or something like that. Like they weren't that bad, you know what I mean? Like not like today where they're like 2+. And so like, and my mom, you never could convince her to spend more than like $40 or $50 on some sneakers and stuff. So like, but I was playing basketball, all this. So like she was like, fine, I'll get you a pair of like legit basketball shoes. And no 4s were to be found. And I was like, what the f-? Like where are these 4s at? And so on the wall was the Flight 89s. And I ended up falling in love with those. That's what I ended up getting. And they were under 100, so that made my mom happy.
Your white and gray ones?
Yep, my white and gray Flight 89s. And yeah, and I loved that shoe. It had the 4 bottom. So to your point with the tooling, I was like, close enough.
Yeah.
So, you know
Mine was
what I mean?
the reversal where I was just like, no, I don't want these weird, like they weren't right.
That's the funny thing is that the takedown worked on me. Like I was like, oh, that reminds me of the Jordan 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is the same bottom. So like I was cool with that.
This one, I want to ask you only because I can't remember actually. So it's first movie we saw together as a couple. Now I know for sure what movie we first saw together as a couple in theaters, which is
First Date.
Just Married.
Or Just Married, sorry. It was our first date.
Yes.
My bad.
But we actually watched movies at your place the weekend before.
Yeah, but see, when you bring that up and then you tell me that I fell asleep, I don't remember what that movie was. Was it The Crow?
So that was the thing. I was like, did we watch The Crow one day and then Boondock Saints the next day? Or
Two
was
of the greatest movies ever.
Was it Boondock Saints?
I wouldn't have
and
fallen
then The
asleep
Crow?
in Boondock Saints.
Okay, so it must have been The Crow.
The Crow has some slow moments, so that has like that has some moments. They have some build-up moments, and so like that would be a movie where I could see myself falling asleep.
Okay.
And the soundtrack is so soothing.
We were being all like cozy and cute, and all of a sudden I feel a against my ear.
I worked a lot, bro. Like I worked a lot, so I was probably beat.
Okay, back to basketball. If you want me to, I will list off all of these historic moments. But if you had the opportunity to be at courtside to witness live and in person one game of Michael Jordan's numerous historic performances, which would it be and why? Do you want me to list them off, or you already
options.
know? You have 5.
List them off.
Okay.
As quickly as possible.
God disguised as MJ, the 63-point explosion against the Boston Celtics in the Garden. The Shot, Game 5 of the ECF against the Cleveland
Shot
Cavs.
on Elo, it's good.
The flu/food poisoning game, Game 5 of the 97 finals against the Utah Jazz. The Final Shot, Game 6 of the 97 finals against the Jazz. And then The Shrug, Game 2 of the 92 finals against the Portland Trailblazers. Where he hit 6 triples in the first half.
Yeah, and he was like, I don't know. I normally don't shoot threes. I don't know what's going on. Well, 2 of those I watched live on TV.
No, this is in person.
I know. But because I did watch it live.
Mister, I want to time travel. If you could just pop yourself up.
That's the thing, though, is that because I watched those 2 things live on TV, I still feel like that's live.
Would you like to be more in there though?
It was good enough for young me to be like,
when
I
the lights go like
this
this across the screen, wouldn't you like to see it crisp and clear?
I know what you're talking about. I'm just saying that I considered those 2 moments, the flu game and the last shot, I watched them on TV.
Okay.
So to me, I lived through it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So those 2 would get taken off the list. I think I would want to watch the Shot on Elo because that was a wild ass moment.
I feel like that's the one that I hear you quote.
Shot on Elo, it's good, and
Yeah.
the Bulls win, Bulls, like that. To me, is like an iconic moment.
This is for both of us, but you can go first. What are your favorite personal holiday traditions, pastime and or current?
I don't really have any.
You don't have a favorite thing that we do
Nah,
or
I
have
didn't,
done?
Nah, because I didn't really have traditions until you. Mm-hmm. You know? So because I come from
Yeah.
we had, when I was really little, we would go over to my mom's uncle's house and stuff like that for Christmas. So that was a memory. But that stopped when I was about 6 or 7 or something like that. So from there on, there were no traditions, you know?
Okay, well, what about, you have almost 21 years now, so.
That's what I mean though, there really is no tradition. All of the traditions that I'm usually privy to are your traditions.
That's what I'm saying. So
families.
you have 20 plus years now that you can reflect on of traditions.
I don't know, because I remember having a conversation with you one time. I don't think you were happy about it, but I can't remember if we had kids or not yet, but you had said something about oh, what if these because your favorite tradition is always Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And so you were what happens when this isn't a thing anymore?
Yeah, and you had said we make our own.
Yeah, and that was my whole thing. I was oh, well, we'll just make our own tradition then. And you were not cool with that. So I don't have a tradition still. You know how I am. I'm cooking a turkey different again.
I know.
I just cooked a turkey 2 weeks ago.
So that's the thing. So my 2 favorite traditions past is Christmas Eve. It's at my dad's house, my stepdad's house. His family has had this tradition for well over 50, 60 years where this family gathers in his living room and we have a big thing and it's as many extended people who can be there come in for the night. We go on a holiday caroling walk and we look for Santa, and it's my favorite thing. That's what screams Christmas to me. But as far as holidays as a whole and newer traditions, my favorite thing, and we started this when our daughter was pretty young, because I used to get free turkeys from work and I kept giving them away because I didn't know what to do with them. And so we were finally let's learn how to make a turkey. And so to do that, we started out by doing practice turkeys, which was our Friendsgiving. And the people around the table have changed over the years, but it's still my favorite thing because it's just fun. It's literally the people that you
want to be there.
Instead of being oh, you gotta invite great aunt, blah, blah, blah. It's not as stressful because it's not just you preparing everything. Everybody brings in their own thing. And I don't know, it's lighter and funner. And
yeah, no, I mean, you like all holidays though.
I know, I just found out my niece and nephew, they decided that they were going to assign, if a person was a holiday, who they would be. And I got assigned Christmas. And I was that is such an honor. What?
Yeah, I do remember the first time I went to your Christmas Eve thing. That was that first year where I was like on my own, like and all that. My parents had left, yeah, and I didn't go like with them and all that stuff. And by parents, I mean like my mom and then my stepdad, my ex-stepdad, whatever. I didn't go and all that stuff. And then, like I said, like our traditions were like when I was really little, so like we didn't really have tradition. And so that was the first year where like when I got out of your guys' Christmas Eve, I was like depressed. You know what I mean? Because like I was like, what the f-? Like this is what having a family's like. You know what I mean? Because like I always came from like not one.
Yeah, I remember that was an interesting, again, it was our first time. I don't even think we'd been together for a year yet. You didn't come to Thanksgiving, but my whole family made me bring you a to-go box because they're just like, he's not with anybody. I was like, he didn't want to come. Like he's in a moment right now. And so after I was done eating our big feast, I brought you.
I remember that. But yeah, it was just one of those things. It was like getting slapped in the face with how, you know, things could have been, even though like when you live in it, like you don't know, because like you're just, you know, you're just alive and like surviving or whatever. But like, yeah, that was one of those first moments where I got hit in the face with like, oh, like what you know of growing up isn't like normal. Even though it was my normal.
Last question, and then we will switch topics.
Do we have time?
Yeah,
we do?
I think so.
Okay.
Depends on how much you talk about it.
That's the problem. So I could go.
So this question was directed at me, and I was surprised because I actually had an answer as soon as I read it. And it was, what in your opinion is the best looking basketball shoe out currently? Can you guess?
I need to know. I have no idea.
No idea. And
are we talking retro or we're talking actual new model?
Well, in my brain, it was, you're going to lace these up and go out on the court right now.
Yeah, but for me, that could be a retro. So I need to know, is it a new shoe or?
In my brain, it's new.
Okay. I need to know this. I want to know. That's a great question. What is your favorite looking basketball shoe? That's what the question is?
Yeah.
What is it?
I've actually been like, those are really good looking because they sat on our kitchen counter for a couple days before they moved.
What is it? I need to know. Oh, you brought them?
I did.
Oh, those are fire.
Yeah. So I can't remember the name. Is this a Serious Player Only Plus or?
Yeah, this is the Player One Plus. It says it right here. So it's like etched into there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is not a plug for them, but it's just honestly, these were sitting on our counter with not a slew, but a few other shoes. And I mean, I've been seeing these for the last year. Like we've done countless videos. And
this is what I wear when I go and take the kids out to coach.
Yeah. But this colorway, I just really like it. I told Chris, we were eating dinner, and I was just like, those look like what the Green Ranger would wear if he was about to go.
Hoop it up.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I just love this shoe. These are fun to play in. And this shoe, like, I play in them indoors and outdoors. Not this color. I use those, like.
The pink ones?
They're pink, but they're like all kinds of colors.
The multicolored one.
Yeah, there's like blue, red, orange. They're weird looking.
The pink ones he's been wearing indoors.
Oh, that's the game one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those a lot too. That's another shoe, cross court, like indoor, outdoor, whatever. But yeah, they're just comfortable, man. I just got those explosive midsoles. That's just comfortable, man. Like, yeah, I don't want to like sit here and like talk because I really their brand like in the beginning, like well,
and that's the thing. I don't want you guys to think like, oh, like she got told to say this or whatever.
I didn't even know that you were going to pick this. Yeah. I was thinking like a Kyrie or something.
I didn't even see that it has a little clover on the side on your shoe. It's so cute. Like they're just they're a good looking shoe.
So, but yeah, like I really bashed this brand, or I don't want to use that word actually. I was hard on them for sure.
You critiqued them.
It was because they copied a Kobe, man. And so like I was like, if you're gonna do something like that, like you got to do it right. You know what I mean? So like the one plus to that, because I know that I like bagged on Skechers for doing similar but even though they're known for that, so like to me that wasn't even a big deal. I know that some people had a big problem with me saying that, and I'm like, bro, where the f have you been for the past 30 years? Like, cause Skechers known, they've got so many lawsuits against them from every brand. Like, are you crazy? But this was one of those ones where if they hadn't knocked off that Kobe, I don't think anybody would pay attention to them.
It definitely got their name out there.
That's what I mean. So in that sense, that was a great move. But as somebody that loves those shoes, I was like, bro, it was the rubber really, and that's what this one changed. And yeah, it ended up turning. This is a great shoe. The other one, the one before this, the Player One, I still would stay away from those. But this one and the Game One, fantastic shoes.
Player 1 Plus.
These are what I grab. I think that's funny. I don't grab this color. I grab that other weird one. But
Yeah.
like, that's because I've already worn them a bunch. All right, so now we are in the segment of shoes we didn't review. These are all part of one pack, but not a pack that releases all at the same time. So like everything's sold individually and stuff like that. It comes with a bunch of apparel, or it doesn't come with, but alongside is a bunch of apparel. This is one of the items. Is actually, I love this. What we've got here is just a bunch of cool Curry product that I think is really dope because it's they're official Bruce Lee stuff. So I'll just show the stuff that's coming out first. And this is the Curry 11s. These are cool, man. Like this is a great colorway. Also looks like kind of like a Chinese type of colorway, which is dope because, you know, Bruce Lee is Chinese and stuff like that. I was a big fan of Bruce Lee growing up. I loved watching all of those movies, and, you know, he was the one that got me into like appreciating other cultures and stuff like that, because like the way that he would explain things, and, you know, there'd be like water and all that stuff, like you were like, what? It was so new to me as a youngster that I really gravitated towards it, and yeah, and so I just thought that it was really dope. But this is a really cool colorway. They've got like little subtle things, like I love the little logo that they've got here on the tongue, and it's lenticular, so it changes between you know, the Curry you know, splash logo and then like a yin yang and stuff like that. And then you've got the scale of a dragon, which I think is really cool. That's a through line throughout all of the shoes. Same thing with the lenticular logo. One of the coolest things though is that we actually got to talk to the lead designer, Ed Wallace, as well as the senior color designer, Rick Medeiros. And so if you're interested in how stuff like this comes about, we've got you covered right here in this episode. So just, you know, keep watching. It was a really fun time. Like it was like really cool. So yeah, hopefully I asked them good questions, and I think that they gave great answers. But anyways, this colorway is just really dope.
The laces are giving me Harry Potter vibes.
The shoe kind of looks like a Harry Potter.
It's like Gryffindor.
Yeah. So I could see why, like this one I just gravitated towards instantly. I was like, this is sick. Just the colorway itself. I think this was part of the original Unveil lineup of colorways. Like there was the Future Curry, which I have, and those are awesome. And then there was a few others. There's the Dub Nation one coming out that I really want. But then this was one of them too. And I was like, what are those? Those are dope. And so yeah, this one I didn't even know at the time that it was a Bruce Lee shoe. But now that it, like I do know, like I was like, this is pretty cool. Like I didn't think that they would ever do that. So this colorway is called the Wind.
She's like the wind in my trees. It's a Patrick Swayze song.
I wouldn't know.
From Dirty Dancing. Just
not a
let you know.
Swayze person.
You should be. He's great.
Anyways, this is the Wind colorway. This is a white base colorway. Still got the same kind of through line stuff. You got the lenticular tongue, the dragon scale stuff, just a simpler colorway. This also goes kind of like with, you know, Bruce Lee's whole, like, I don't know what to call it, but just, you know, the way that he lived. It's just very like spiritual and all of that stuff, and still connected to nature and the earth and the world. And I really have like a ton of respect for both him and Steph, and obviously other athletes too, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, like if we're talking about like martial artists and stuff. So, you know, this is just a really dope colorway. I don't know what this is, this like color here.
It's the colors of the wind, Pocahontas.
Well, that's the first thing, yeah, that I had thought of. And then it kind of reminded me of, what is that? Is it
the Aurora Borealis?
Yes, that's what it was called.
I don't think I said that right at all, but
no, I was sitting here being like the Milky Way. Like I know it wasn't that, but like, you know what I mean? It reminded me of that where like you would see it like sometimes at night. But yeah, that's what I don't know if that's what it is, but it just looks cool. And then these guys right here are called the Future Dragon. This might be the other like favorite of mine as far as like the Curry 11 goes. This is just a clean colorway, man. You can't go wrong with like this playoff-esque look, you know, where it's just simple black, white with a little bit of red. This one's a little bit different because there are gray hits to it, which I really love. I love the kind of like the broken glass.
Is it 3M?
No, I did check.
Okay.
That was my first thought. But yeah, I love that the broken glass that's on the insole of all of these shoes is featured all over this particular colorway. It's on the like the heat welded panels, and it's also on the heel counter and stuff. So it just, you know, little things that I think is really dope. I didn't expect like a Bruce Lee collection. Also, I should have said that the Wind and this colorway, the Future Dragon colorway, come out, I think it's more towards January. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, they don't come out just yet, but they will be coming out soon.
Was this Eric's favorite?
You know, I don't even remember.
Okay. He was very opinionated, our son, on which
Yes.
ones he liked and which ones he didn't. I think my favorite one he doesn't like.
Which one's that? The
The
green.
next one.
Yeah.
Which are these?
Yeah, which are these guys right here. This is the Curry One Flotro, but the low top. But to take it up a notch, this is a Luxe version. So if you guys have been around for any length of time here on the channel or just in sneakers and in basketball in general, when the Curry One dropped originally, they had their run, and they all had like the anafoam upper and all of that stuff for like the performance. But they also went and had a Luxe line of the shoes, both in high and low top form. Some of them had some great colorways. One of them looked kind of like this, but it was a tan or a khaki look. Very clean colorway. But this right here just kind of like, it just looks good. You know what I mean? Like the materials are nice. It's got a really nice suede on there. Really reminds me of the original shoe. I think that's something that I've been...
Maybe that's why I did wear mine
Yes.
a lot. Like this, there's no padding left in mine.
Right. And we're from the Bay Area. We live in Sacramento now, but we're Bay Area, like born and raised, and so we're Dub Nation all day. And so having somebody like Curry, honestly, as a Warrior fan, like something that we never thought that we'd have, you know. So we never thought that we'd have an all-star like that, where like I know that we've had them before, like periodically, like a Latrell Sprewell or Joe Smith and stuff like that, a Monte, if you will. I don't know if he's ever, I don't think Monte ever was an all-star. David Lee, but even then, like he was an all-star before he hit, I think, pretty sure, if I remember everything correctly. I could be wrong, but yeah. So like we didn't have like an all-star kind of caliber. We had, you know, Chris Mullin and Tim Hardaway way back in the day, but there was a 13+ year drought of like sucking, you know what I mean? And so like until the We Believe team, and so when Curry came in, it was just kind of like a, not an instant game changer, because none of us knew that he was going to do what he did. But once he got to that level of like, I'm going to get a signature shoe, I was like, word, like we're getting a signature athlete on my team, like my hometown team. You know?
I know, this was now everybody.
Right.
Like every team has at least one signature athlete.
It feels like it. But yeah, so like when this happened with the Curry One and the Curry One Luxe, that was really the beginning of something special for Bay Area people. You know, like this is what it must have felt like as a Chicago fan, growing up in Chicago, being a Bulls fan, being like, man, my team is ass, like complete ass. Then this rookie comes in and he's electrifying. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, what is this? This guy can be good. Oh, he turns out to be the GOAT. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it must be crazy. It must be crazy to be a Cleveland fan, or a fan, and to have somebody like LeBron James not just be there, but he's the hometown kid too. So like it's like a double whammy. You know what I mean? Like that's got to be really cool. And so while Steph isn't from the Bay, he damn near is from the Bay at this point. Like he's lived almost his adult whole life here. This is just special for somebody, or a Bay Area sports fan. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's got their teams and stuff like that, and everybody has their moments. But for us, this is our moment. This is our guy. This is our hero. But with all of that being said, like I said, we had a really great conversation with two of the main people that were kind of like headlining not just the shoe, but this pack. So Rick is all about color. So he's the color designer, the senior color designer. He's also a graphic artist and everything. So he came up with like some of the stuff that you'll see on like the apparel, and he's like really great at what he does. And so yeah, so we'll get like questions answered from his perspective. But then performance questions I was able to ask Ed and everything like that, who is the lead senior designer, who's designed multiple things, but he came over from like running and then got put into basketball for a minute, and then all of a sudden was thrusted into the Curry brand when that started, and then he got his chance to do the flagship. So I hope that you guys enjoy. All right, guys, so we have Ed and Rick here. They are both part of the design team for the Curry brand. One is the senior footwear designer, whereas the other one is senior color design. We've got some really cool stuff here, but I did have some questions for them. So we're gonna start off with Ed. And first off, what's it like working with Flow? Does it make the shoe more challenging to design overall? I know that I've personally been a little bit critical over the Flow's design, or the midsole tooling, looking pretty similar from model to model until this one. So how did you try and set your design apart, especially while working with Flow from the previous Curry models?
To be honest with you, it's Flow definitely has its limitations that we're kind of like evolving through like season by season to improve like the performance of it and like what we can do with it from like a color standpoint. So initially, it was super limited in terms of, you might have seen a lot of stuff that was always white. But now, like as the seasons go by, we're exploring with more colors, and in other categories, we're playing with traction, varying that up a little bit more. But in terms of basketball, we try to keep it as consistent as possible so that people kind of recognize it as a technology, and people kind of recognize it for what it's good for, and it's consistent on court. And that's something that Steph has been pretty adamant about, is just like making sure that we keep what's working and we improve around other things. So it hasn't been like, for me, it hasn't been a huge issue in terms of designing around it. It's just in terms of like taking what we know works and improving on it. So I don't know how deep you want to get into for this first question, but for the 11, we're actually using dual density flow. So we're able to, I got a part with me right here. So we're able to do like 2 separate pieces and bring them together. So that was one way that we were able to make it different on the 11. And then like just kind of some of those exterior embellishments, like the piece that has the logo on it is a exterior TPU piece that we can add treatments to. You'll see Rick has done his thing with a lot of those extra components that added to the midsole. So that was one thing for me that I was conscious about, trying to elevate, knowing that we were going to be consistent with the actual traction pattern.
Okay, and then this question is for Rick. So far we've gotten a pretty good look at the entire Bruce Lee pack, or most of it as far as I'm aware. And with so many Bruce Lee colorways and tributes already kind of out there on the market from other brands, how did you keep things fresh and interesting for this pack? And were you trying to stay as far away from the yellow jumpsuit as possible?
When I started out thinking about this, I focused on the idea of making a shoe that would not look like the yellow jumpsuit. When we started compiling quotes and photos and references of what people have done, made a mood board and said, hey, look, this is the spectrum of what's out there, what's been done in the past, from top tier brands to low tier brands. We have an opportunity to do some rich and deep storytelling. Let's dig into the films, all of them, all of the quotes. Like, let's go through this and let's stay away from a yellow shoe with, some red claw strikes and what have you. So we stayed away from that as far as possible.
Okay, and then this one bounces back over to Ed. I know that we just talked about the foam a little bit, but do you have a specific type of name for the dual layer of foam that's inside of that flow, or is it just simply EVA? And was this a request by Stefan to add more cushion into the shoe, or is this something that you guys as a team really wanted to try and push the boundaries of what flow can do?
Man, I wish they would let me come up with a special name for the upper foam, but it's just flow. So it's the same material as the actual outsole, but it's just a softer version. So we kind of label it by the numbers, by the durometer of hardness. So the outsole, the actual bottom unit, that is flow 55. So it's a little bit firmer than what's directly underfoot, which is we're calling it flow 50. Internally, that's how we talk about it. And we look at it kind of just like as a dual flow platform. We don't talk about it externally as we didn't call this shoe, hey, this is the Curry 11 dual flow, but that's kind of how we look at it, just 2 foam densities of the same material. When we look at like starting a new like project, like each season, we look at like what's working and what's not working. And that's when we think about consistency, like what things we want to keep, things we want to improve upon. We definitely, like Steph, he really preaches about court feel. So usually he kind of want to sit lower. I mean, he definitely wants cushioning, but as we explore new technologies, we try to figure out how can we give him the best of like that court feel, but also cushioning. So when we look at how like the 8, 9, and 10 have been performing, we're like, how can we make this better? Like we got the grip on lock, like we know how that's performing. So like, how can we make it softer? And it was more of a team decision, and then we'll bring it to Steph and see how he likes it, and we'll let him test it out, and he'll give his feedback, and we'll keep iterating on that.
All right, so this one goes back over to Rick. This guy right here is the Curry 1 Flotro Low Luxe, which for me was a surprise to see. I don't think we've seen the low top one as a Flotro in the Luxe form, at least not since the original releases of the original Curry 1 Luxe. So I was wondering, is this tonal look like a big challenge as far as when you're trying to fit it in a line of all these colorful models? Because this one is really the only real tonal one outside of the foam on the bottom. So is that something that's a design challenge when designing a colorway for all of this stuff? Like, is the material dictating really what you can do as far as the fun colors?
I don't think that it bridles or holds me back from being able to create an offering of colors. When we're looking at the story, which is the heart and soul of the collection and how we bring this to life, we started looking at, do we have a shoe that can hit, like, what is our black shoe? What is our white shoe? And then from there, what are our pieces that actually tell that story? And finding something that was neutral, that was luxurious. We had a couple of executions and samples on that in different tones. And when we found that Grove green, it just felt very premium and luxe, so that we can play a little nod to the past, but also in this earth colorway, it was the color that we needed to bridge this whole circle together to help tell this story. So it was actually easier than we thought at the very beginning. Like, how do you take a beautiful shoe with a nod to the past and push it forward with some materials and the way the treatment was, but that Grove green within our palette really sang. So we emphasized on it.
I'll jump out there real quick. Like, say kudos to Rick, because like I was around at the company in like 2014, 2015, whenever we did the first Luxe collection, and I worked on a lot of that stuff. And like that, I think it was the tan one that was like Aisha's favorite. It was a lot of our favorites. So I think this colorway is going to be a home run. And a shout out to the team actually on the call, because I got mine this morning. I threw them on with the hoodie. I flashed the foot up.
Yeah. Shout out to John for the design too. Sorry, I'm going to jump in and shout out on that one.
They feel great and they look great. So I'm excited about those.
Yeah, that one was definitely a surprise out of the whole pack. I was opening each one individually. I got through each 11 and then I pulled those. I was like, what? These are back? So I thought it was pretty cool. I was actually at the launch event in Oakland for the original Luxe pack, and that was a fun time. And yeah, so just pulling them out of that box, I like was slapped with nostalgia, which is really cool. This question again goes back over to Ed. So earlier you were just showcasing kind of the split apart tooling, and then in there are these horizontal plates, especially in the forefoot. That's something that I just don't understand fully what those are and what they're for. So if you can just explain it for everybody, I think that would be really awesome.
The innovation team actually came up with this idea, and the 3 plates are actually a part of like a bigger system. So it works with like the midfoot shank. So it's all like this P-backs material that's going to provide like that stability underfoot and stiffness where you need it. So the idea that they had with like breaking it up in the forefoot was that it combines the best of like that torsion resistance that you need, so the foot isn't like going to, off the rails when you're making certain cuts and movements, but you also get the flexibility that you need because they're split up. So it's kind of like providing the best of both worlds of flexibility and stability underfoot. So they kind of work in tandem with the midfoot piece, and they kind of sandwich inside of like this little crater unit on the inside, and it all kind of work together.
Okay, and then last one for Rick. All 3 of these shoes, or 4 if you want to include the Luxe, but all 3 of these have kind of different treatments along the upper, especially to tell those stories that we were talking about earlier. So are the materials really part of what you do use to tell the stories, or is it what you're able to apply to those materials that can do something like that?
I think it's a healthy mix between materials and treatment. We have a really great materials designer, Charlotte, that helps out picking out some of the best materials that will take prints or take sublimation or what have you. So shout out on that. But at the end of the day, what we try to do is make the best looking shoe possible in the best treatment to tell the story. And then we'll work around the material. Like if it's a challenge, like for example, some materials won't take prints, some won't take sublimations. So what we try to do is stay consistent within budget of what we have, because we're making a total offering for a whole collection, and use the expertise of our materials designer to help get me into the right area so that I can think about what can I not do to a shoe. The partnership between Ed, our materials designer, Charlotte, and myself is a really nice symbiotic unit of communication and finding out what we can and can't achieve. So I would say that that's actually more of a bonus having that than an area where I get a little nervous.
And then this question is basically my last one, but it is for both of you, just from 2 different perspectives. Ed, obviously from the performance standpoint, and then Rick from more of a color design standpoint. But how do you guys deal with or even take in the criticism that you see online? Because we all know that there's plenty of it. When you see somebody
I don't want to call it bashing a product, but just giving their thoughts, if you will, and stuff like that. Like, how do you take that when they're doing it on maybe a colorway that you absolutely love, that you spent so much time on, or just the product that you guys spent like 2 years developing and bringing to market? Like, how do you take that in? How do you deal with it? Do you apply it to your next project? And I'm, just always curious to know, especially, hope you don't hate me for anything that I said, but you never know.
Personally, I think it's all part of the game, because before I'm probably like 11, 12 years deep into like designing and being on this side of it. But I know as a consumer, I was on the other side where I didn't like everything that was put out there. So as a creative and as a designer, I think you got to be open to like different people having their own like points of views and taste and things of that nature, or brands that they like or are loyal to. So not everybody is going to be a huge fan of everything. So I consider that, but also I approach it as like each project I want to make better than what came before. So for this to be my first signature shoe, I definitely, in the Curry line, I definitely wanted it to be better than like some of the stuff that I didn't like in the line before. So you definitely want to be aware of like the feedback and critique, but you got to stay true to yourself and like the things that you like, and like put your best foot forward personally, and how you work with the team and the brand and everything that goes into the project, because it's not just like one person touching it where you can point the finger how I didn't like his design. It's like the price point, like the color, material, everything. We all kind of work together to bring this thing together. So all you can do is just kind of roll with the punches and like take note of the feedback and be aware of it and see where you can get better at for the next one. I don't take some of the things too personal when I see comments and feedback. I think about, hey, do I like it? Did the team like it? Does Stefan like it? And hopefully there's more people that like it than don't like it, and we make money, or you were profitable on it, and just try to make the next one better.
I think adding to that, I think that's a great way of looking at it, the rolling with the punches. When I look at the products that we're coming out with internally, we dig in really hard and deep. The outside world will have comments. I think that when you look at that, I mean, I've seen amazing shoes get no love. I've seen shoes in the marketplace get a lot of love because of who they're associated with. When I look at comments and I look at things in the longevity of my career and working with this team the way that we have, we're hyper focused on that last 5% of the details, the 99% of the performance attributes being first. The storytelling is really the decoration of all of it. So when people have really strong opinions, good or bad, a lot of times those things fade away within a couple of moments, and some of those stories come back and they last a lot longer. I think that having color and storytelling and performance as our weapons, serving the athlete or serving the collaborator, at the end of the day, if the client and the team is happy, the athlete and the organization is happy, there are people that I believe want to write something just to say something. Within that, there are very great moments of, hey, I wish they would have done this. Or, I mean, we've seen people write in comments about performance, about storytelling that we've actually noted in some of our meetings to think about moving forward. I mean, thinking about other stories and brands and things where they've either fallen apart or the colors have come back incorrect or they don't match. We face the same things across the board, but we do a lot of deep diving within to make sure that when the product does come out, that athlete and the collaborator and the brand looks good and that we feel good as a team behind that. But to Ed's point, you got to roll the punches. Some of those comments are great. Some of them, they make you cringe a little bit. But within all of that, it's nice to be talked about, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, because people are paying attention. And the more that people are paying attention, the better it's going to be for all of us and this team and what we're trying to do and building the brand and show Stefan his excellence, because that's our main focus.
Yeah, I would add too. I mean, this is probably more of a funny thing, but it's like we know some of the outlets you can go to, to expect to see some crazy off the wall comments. Some of it, they just hate on the brand or whatever, or the player or certain things like that, and probably not even paying attention to the actual shoe. But it's just like almost like comedy hour in some of those sections where you just could look at it and laugh like, oh, they're not even really saying nothing that's like really valuable. It's just like, okay, ha. But it's like, I mean, you gotta have thick skin to be able to like work on stuff that's gonna be presented to the world. So you can't take, I mean, you should take it serious, but like some of those things you can take with a grain of salt and keep grinding. So
I think one of the funny things too, when we look at shoes and whether it has great reception or really bad, is being able to look back at it and be like, remember that shoe that everybody had to have, that loved, like you don't see people wearing it anymore. Like, remember that one got roasted? I see all kinds of people rocking that. Oh, now it's cool. Oh, okay.
No, I completely agree. What you guys just said not only reflects to my own personal endeavors here on YouTube, but also as a Warrior fan. I don't know if we'll ever outlive that whole, the Chef Curry era with the white on whites, which I absolutely love that shoe. And then we blew that lead that obviously everybody likes to talk about too, even though we've won a chip since then. But hey, whatever, it is what it is. However, I did want to just thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate you guys. We're not a big podcast or whatever you want to call this show or whatever. So I really appreciate you guys coming in and just hanging out with us and talking shoes and footwear design. All that stuff is everything that I'm really all about, especially now that I can't play anymore because my old ass hips don't work. So I just really appreciate it. If you guys are allowed to plug anything, like where people can find you online, or if you have other adventures that you guys like to do and stuff like that, feel free to take the time and just shout out whatever it is that you want at this point.
I'll keep it simple. You can find me at Eddie Wop, Eddie EDDY.WOP on Instagram, Ed Wallace on LinkedIn. And that's about it, man.
You could find me on Instagram underneath Maderis, my last name, Maderis. And you can be out on the lookout for all the cool stuff with Ed and I and the entire Curry brand at UA&currybrand.com.
All right, guys, so that pretty much takes care of everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you have questions for us that you would like answered, make sure that you leave them down below in the comment section. She goes through them and she will, grab the ones that I guess speak to you.
Yeah, that speaks to me.
How do you pick those?
I try to have it be a mixed bag. So it's not just all footwear. It's not just, I don't know. Obviously I'm going to gravitate towards the ones that are more off the wall and I feel like we can actually talk about, because it needs to be a conversation.
I saw one question that I think was towards you. I can't remember if that was in Discord or not, but they were. I want to, because I wish that you would have picked this question. So I'm gonna just throw this in real quick. Sorry, this is supposed to be our outro, but I just need to know. Because I'm curious too. This is why. Why are you interested in the weird, creepy, true crime? What is it? Because I know that a lot of guys, their girls are into this. What is this about? Do you secretly want to be kidnapped and tortured?
No.
Do you think that this is funny?
I don't think
it's
funny. I think it comes from I've always been an avid reader. That's what I did for as soon as I learned how to read in the first grade, I made the newspaper because you had to write about your favorite teacher, and it was about she was a lovely lady.
You made the real newspaper?
The real
or the
newspaper.
School newspaper.
I have it somewhere.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I got an award for it. But it was a class assignment. I want to say in 3rd or 4th grade, you had to write about, I don't know if it was your favorite person or a favorite teacher. But I picked my 1st grade teacher, Mrs. Jew.
What a suck up.
And it was because she taught me how to read. And all of a sudden,
that's cool. Yeah.
I had, because
kind of a big deal.
My parents, we didn't have a lot of money. I didn't get to play sports until I was in high school, just because we didn't have the kind of money to do that. We didn't go on lavish vacations. I didn't get to fly on an airplane until I was a full-on adult. So much I don't know about. But my aunt, again, who I spoke of earlier, she would always take us to Barnes & Noble, and she would be like, you have to pick out a classic, and then you could pick out whatever you want to read. And we would get to do that once a month. And so it was a way where I got to go somewhere. I got to do things, and I don't know, I just kind of gravitate towards
those. Are you talking about going somewhere as in the story?
In the stories. And I like a good mystery, and that's kind of what the murdery type stuff. It is a lot of mystery. Why would somebody do that?
Suspense and thriller.
Yeah, why would somebody do that? What was all of the details surrounding those moments?
What did you want to be when you grew up? When you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I feel like the things that I wanted to be were very typical. I want to be a vet. I want to be a teacher. I want to write books.
So you didn't want to be a psychologist or anything?
No.
Oh. Just because that's when you say why do people, that's to me is but maybe it's just the surface level of I don't understand how
Yeah.
someone can do this.
I don't want to have to try and figure somebody out for them, but like I do like to learn
You
about
don't want
why.
to interview a Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, I do like to learn like how somebody ticks. So yeah, I guess that's why I like it. But I will say this: I prefer listening or reading the things. I don't like scary movies. I do like a good doc, but I
So-
don't need a reenactment of it.
When you're reading this stuff, like you know that it's a real event, or that it was. So how are you reading this? Are you reading this as it's fiction? You know what I'm saying? Like how do you ingest or digest the information? Because when I'm being told these stories, or you hear the theme song of what's the show, man?
Unsolved Mysteries?
Unsolved Mysteries. What was the other one with John Walsh? America's Most Wanted.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that. When I would hear those, I'd leave the room. You know what I mean? I'd be like, all right, guys, that's my cue to exit. You know what I mean? So like my imagination is kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's very visual and it's very active. Like my brain is one of those brains where like I could stay up all night because it just won't stop. It could bounce around from topic to topic, theme to theme, story to story, stuff like that. When I get into things like a comic book, obviously they're visual, so maybe that's what kickstarts my brain. Is like and when you're telling me this, it kickstarts my brain and I get freaked out.
Oh.
Like, and I'm just like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to even think that. And I'm so visual that I will see it. Like, see it. Like, if you start to describe a crime scene, I see it all. Like, it's disgusting.
I think my brain just kind of turns it into, I love Law and Order SVU. And so there's only so much that they can show you on regular television. And so my brain kind of puts up these little buffers.
You're
like
the basic cable version of stories.
In my brain, when I'm reading these
Okay.
things or listening to things, yeah, I'm not.
And I'm the HBO of shit. That's
To answer all of your guys' questions, it's not because I want it to happen to me. No, like, I don't want that. Back when I was still running, that was when I would get most of my podcasts in. And there was a very specific story that I listened to, and I was like out running in the fog. And I was just like, maybe this was the wrong time for this specific story, because it was very scary true crime that they were telling about. And I was just like, I'm all alone. I can't see 10 feet in front of me.
the fog here is legit. That's thick.
What do they call them? Green belts? We have a lot of green belts here, and so it lets the fog really get thick and sit there.
It's dense as you can't see literally 10 feet in front of you. It's wild. This is while you're walking. Now, you get in a car, you better pray that like ain't nobody in front of you. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to
I know that
mess
you
up
made
our outro.
you made this outro so much longer than I was expecting it
I'm
to
sorry,
be.
but yeah, that thought popped into my head though. I was like, why didn't you pick that
I
question?
did see that question, but I felt like if I was going to have a question aimed directly at me, that I would keep it in the more WearTesters wheelhouse versus.
Look, when so
So-
many people want Jody's corner, you gotta give them like, why are you like that? You know what I mean? So, and I've always been curious too, because I ask her all the time, like, why the do you watch this? And she always responds with I don't know.
I'll try to turn it on at like 9 or 10 in the morning, being like, you're just on your phone anyways.
No, that's not how I'm trying to start my day. It's really not. I'm not trying to get horrified while I go out into the world.
Yes.
When we watched The Walking Dead, which we
I pushed for
finished,
that.
yeah, because I thought that it was going to be scary. I didn't realize it was like a great story. When we watched that, we'd go walk outside, and this is during the pandemic, so like this is the height of like
We're all alone.
Yeah, there's no people out there, and we'd be standing out there, and I was just like, this is Walking Dead, bro. Like this is like there's nobody out here, and if I see somebody, they might be a zombie.
Great miniseries. We didn't talk about it at all, but if you did watch any of The Walking Dead, even if you stopped at a certain point because certain events happened that you were like, I can't move past this, watch the Daryl series. It's only 6 episodes. It's so good. As long as you know who Daryl is, you can just go with it. My favorite parts of
The Negan and Maggie one was good too.
that
though.
one was too, but I feel like Daryl's was like,
No,
much better.
Daryl's just an excellent character. It's so funny because he's not canon to the books.
no, he's not. I
And
just
so-
learned this. My favorite parts in all of these different series, because we've watched all of them, like Fear, all of them. My favorite part is whenever
Fear is awful.
Fear
it started off so good.
It was our favorite up until a certain point, and then we're like, we still need to finish the last season. They officially have all of the episodes.
Oh, they're up?
They're
I didn't
all
even
up.
know.
Yes. But anyways, my favorite parts is whenever they do a big, like, it's just a normal Tuesday, and then all of a sudden, like, the thing starts spreading and turning, and watching these people who are just like us.
And they were from, you know, LA, like that's where that one started.
Yeah, but in Paris.
Oh, yes, sorry.
So that's the Daryl one. But just all of the different not seasons, but
that's where it
different
literally
adaptations.
started.
Yes, all the different adaptations have certain episodes where they go from a certain character's point of view of it happening. And I love that, because otherwise, you know, like, you can get very, like, desensitized to the zombie thing. Like, zombies went from being a thing where we're like, do we really want to watch this show, to we couldn't stop watching this show.
Not just that, to I could probably take a zombie. You know what I mean? Like,
which character am I?
Like, this fool's doing it with just a little knife. Like, I got this.
I was definitely, what's her face?
Which one?
The blonde girl, who's the whole reason why I want to go back and watch.
Maggie's sister?
Yes, that's who I think I would be if I was.
I can't remember her name.
Betty? I don't remember.
I don't know. Daryl really liked her, though. They were like best buds.
Yeah, but anyways.
Those first 2 seasons were fantastic.
I think that was even further than that.
No, I know that. I'm just saying the first 2 seasons. The whole Shane arc.
Yes.
Like, that's brutal. So.
Anyways, we need to.
Yeah, we got to go. I'm sorry.
We have some fun extras, so stick around and listen to those so you can hear Chris and the color artist and main guy of the Curry line go over some more things. So
yeah, after we were done with the actual interview, we just started talking, and that's I just think that's fun. You get to know people.
Yeah, Ed and Rick.
Good
Rick
people.
Grimes. No.
What's his name? Carl.
Yes.
Carl. That's my favorite to say. Like, just out of nowhere, I'd be like, Carl. So yeah. Anyways, y'all have a good one. We will catch you on the next one. So until then, peace.
Bye.
Thank you for today, by the way. I'm really appreciative of the time and energy, and just also giving us a platform to talk about this. Ed's worked really hard on this. I've worked really hard on this, as well as a team, and the countless names of people that don't get named. There's a lot of people that made this come to life, and thank you very much for today.
This is my favorite thing. Sorry to cut you off, Ed, but talking to you guys, that you guys don't get the recognition a lot. Everything's always about team or brand and stuff like that, or the player. So just seeing, faces attached to the product outside of the player, like the people that do all of the creative stuff, I just think is really fun and informative. It's also, or it can be inspirational for that new generation coming up. They don't know where to start. Like if they do like applying colors and making their own versions of shoes, or, sketching and stuff like that, sneakers, like this type of thing is perfect for those type of people. So I think that this is awesome.
Those kids that are on the 2K making all these cool colorways are making me sweat a little bit, though. I'm like, geez, these are great. Don't be doing that.
No, that's probably, I was just gonna say, man, I appreciate the opportunity. It's definitely a kind of full circle moment, because I remember years ago when I was working on Phantom 2, I saw like one of my first reviews I saw from you when you were doing that on YouTube. I like, who's this guy talking about this shoe? But you had good things to say, so it was cool. So same with the 11, so it was cool to officially get on this thing with you. So
Chris, I jumped on this thinking, I was like, man, this is a Hooper's Hooper. This guy's gonna roast us. I have no clue what he's gonna ask. We didn't get our questions ahead of time.
This is my favorite thing. I don't like. I was surprised that they even prepared questions. I normally don't do that. I really go off the cuff with everybody that we talk to. But late last night I was in bed and I was just like, maybe because I never dealt with 2 people at once. That's what she said. But like, you know what I mean? So like that was where I was kind of like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? So I was just preparing stuff. So I kind of like tried my best to work in some questions that made sense and things like that. We may add this part in the video just because it's fun and candid. You never know.
I don't know how much trouble I'll get in, but I'm going to flash a picture. This is the image that we first started this collection with. This was the blending of Steph and Bruce. And when Ed and I and the team jumped on the call with the Bruce Lee Foundation, and thank you very much to the Bruce Lee Foundation for allowing us to be able to celebrate this collection, we flashed that image up and it was like, yeah, we're in. It's like, we haven't shown you the project or the collection yet. And it's like, you guys get it. It's like, thank you. All right, cool. Let's go.